What you are about to watch is not a sports story. It is a business investigation. And once you see what FIFA has engineered inside American borders, you will never watch a World Cup the same way again. Let's start with something that most casual fans didn't even notice. Something hidden inside an announcement made in a Zurich boardroom back in 2017. And yet, it will fundamentally change what football looks like forever. In January of 2017, FIFA's council voted to expand the World Cup from 32 teams, the format that had existed since 1998, to 48 teams. On paper, it sounded generous. More nations, more representation, more football for everyone, but here is what they did not tell you. 48 teams means 80 games. Not 64, 80. That is, 25% more content, 25% more broadcasting slots, and 25% more advertising revenue, all generated in a single month. One tournament, one summer, and the host nation, the United States of America. Now, think about that for a second. The most powerful sports media market on Earth. A country with 335 million people who had, until very recently, largely ignored soccer. FIFA didn't just pick the US as a host. They picked it as a target audience. A conversion project. The largest sports marketing operation in human history, dressed up as a football tournament. And the timing? It wasn't random, because in 2023, something else quietly happened that almost nobody in the mainstream press covered properly. FIFA signed a landmark digital archive deal with YouTube, making official World Cup footage legally accessible to content creators, media companies, and broadcasters at an unprecedented scale. Think about what that means. Every highlight, every legendary goal, every controversial VAR decision from 2026. Cleared for digital distribution, cleared for monetization, cleared for the algorithm. FIFA didn't just build a tournament. They built a content engine, engineered from the ground up for the streaming era, and for one specific, massive, largely untapped audience. So, before we go any deeper, ask yourself, when a global governing body this powerful makes this many calculated moves, all pointing in the exact same direction, is that coincidence? Or is that a plan? Stay with me, because the next thing FIFA did will absolutely blow your mind. When a country hosts a World Cup, the standard playbook is straightforward. You build new stadiums. You invest in football infrastructure. You leave a legacy of purpose-built venues for the sport. Brazil did it. South Africa did it. Qatar spent over $200 billion doing it. FIFA, for 2026, did none of that. Instead, FIFA walked straight into the boardrooms of the most powerful sports franchise owners in America and said, "We will use what you already built." And those NFL owners? They said yes, before FIFA could even finish the sentence. Here's why that matters. The average NFL stadium in the United States costs between $1 and $2 billion to construct. Look at the numbers. MetLife Stadium in New Jersey, the venue hosting the 2026 World Cup final, cost $1.6 billion. SoFi Stadium in Los Angeles cost $5.5 billion. Lumen Field in Seattle, Arrowhead in Kansas City, Lincoln Financial Field in Philadelphia. These are not football stadiums. These are American cathedrals of commercial spectacle. And FIFA just borrowed all of them for free. But the real money, and I mean the real, obscene, almost incomprehensible money, isn't in the ticket sales. It is in what happens 60 feet above the field. Up in the suites. Every major NFL stadium hosting a 2026 World Cup match comes equipped with between 100 and 250 private luxury suites. Each suite, for a single World Cup match, is being offered at prices starting at $50,000. 1. Game. The premium suites, the ones with unobstructed midfield views, private butler service, and access to post-match experiences, those are going for north of $200,000 per match. And they sold out, almost immediately. Let's do the math on MetLife alone, the venue for the World Cup final. Estimated suite revenue for a single final, somewhere between $15 and $25 million. From suites only, not counting the 100,000 general admission tickets, the concession revenue, or the merchandise. One game, one afternoon, and we haven't even touched sponsorship. FIFA essentially convinced American billionaires to invest billions in state-of-the-art infrastructure. And then, turned around and used that exact infrastructure to generate billions more. without spending a single dollar on construction. That is not football management. That is a leveraged buyout. And you, the fan, are the product. But all of that, the teams, the stadiums, the suites, it means nothing if people aren't watching. And what FIFA engineered next is where this story gets truly sinister. Because they didn't just schedule a tournament. They reverse-engineered primetime. In international football, the schedule of a World Cup has traditionally been built around the host nation's local time. With some consideration given to European audiences, since Europe produces the most commercially valuable broadcasting contracts on Earth. But 2026 is different, and the data makes it impossible to ignore. Let's talk about what primetime means in the American sports context. The golden window, the slot every network, every advertiser, every algorithm fights to own, is roughly 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern Time. That is when American sports audiences are home, settled, and most likely to sit in front of a screen for 3 hours. Now, look at the 2026 World Cup group stage kickoff times. The most prominent slots are scheduled for 2 p.m. and 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Not arbitrary, not logistical. Let's break down the logic. 2 p.m. Eastern is 7 p.m. in London, and 8 p.m. in Paris and Madrid. 5 p.m. Eastern is 10 p.m. in Central Europe. Right at the edge of primetime. FIFA found a scheduling window that simultaneously captures the American afternoon audience and the European evening audience. In the exact same kickoff slot. This has never been done before at this scale. Previous World Cups in Russia forced European fans to watch late at night and American fans to set alarms at 4 in the morning. Brazil was slightly better. Qatar was worse. But 2026? Every major scheduling decision threads the needle between two of the 3 largest sports broadcasting markets on Earth, simultaneously. And it goes deeper than the clock. Look at how the knockout bracket was seeded. The top-ranked nations, and this includes traditional powerhouses from Europe and South America, were placed in a bracket configuration that, mathematically, maximizes the probability of marquee matchups happening in the knockout rounds rather than being eliminated early. Translation: FIFA engineered the bracket to keep the biggest names in the tournament longer. Because Messi versus Mbappe in the round of 16 doesn't just fill stadiums. It breaks the internet. It generates 48 hours of non-stop content across every single platform. And more importantly, it keeps the casual American fan, who just discovered this sport existed, emotionally invested long enough to become a paying subscriber to premium networks. The streaming angle deserves its own conversation. FIFA sold the US broadcasting rights to Fox Sports for traditional television. But the digital streaming rights represent a completely separate, and arguably more valuable, contract. In recent years, companies like Apple have invested billions into soccer infrastructure, establishing platforms like the MLS Season Pass. Now, with 48 nations, including most of Central America, the Caribbean, and Africa represented for the very first time, you have an extraordinary demographic targeting opportunity. Mexican fans in Texas, Colombian fans in Miami, Moroccan fans in New York. FIFA's expanded format is not just about football inclusion. It is about unlocking diaspora audiences. Communities across the United States who have deep, emotional, generational connections to their home nation's team. And converting them into premium digital subscribers. Every single one of these people becomes part of a data ecosystem. Their viewing habits, their purchase patterns, all feeding back into the machine. This is not paranoia. This is how modern sports media operates. And FIFA, in 2026, is running the most sophisticated version of this model ever attempted. So, we have 80 games, 16 cities, NFL stadiums worth a combined $20 billion, luxury suites at $50,000 a seat, a schedule engineered to dominate 2 continents simultaneously, and a bracket designed to guarantee maximum drama. What does all of that actually add up to? What is the final number? Stay with me, because the last chapter of this story is where the real reckoning begins. In 2022, the FIFA World Cup in Qatar generated approximately $7.5 billion in total revenue. That number, at the time, was a record. It had taken decades of expansion, globalization, and commercial deals to reach it. But FIFA's own internal projections for 2026 estimate total tournament revenue at between $11 and $14 billion. A near doubling, in a single 4-year cycle. Let's break down where that money actually comes from. Broadcasting rights, estimated at $4 to $5 billion. The US domestic rights deal alone is worth an estimated $1 billion. For 1 month of content. Sponsorship and commercial partnerships, estimated at $3 to $4 billion. Brands that had never considered international football are now paying 9-figure fees to put their logo on 80 games watched by 5 billion people. Ticketing and hospitality, estimated at $1.x to $2 billion. This number was structurally impossible before, because no previous host nation had the combination of massive existing stadiums and a domestic corporate culture willing to pay $50,000 per suite for a single match. Add it all up, and you arrive somewhere between $11 and $14 billion. Generated in 34 days. By a nonprofit organization. And I want you to sit with that word. A nonprofit organization that pays no corporate tax on tournament earnings in Switzerland. The host cities themselves invested hundreds of millions of public dollars in infrastructure upgrades, security contracts, and transportation improvements. All of that public money, in service of a privately held revenue event, where FIFA's agreements guarantee them first priority on the income. South Africa 2010, Brazil 2014, the pattern repeats. The host nation invests, FIFA harvests, but the US does not have this problem. The NFL stadiums they are using were not built for this tournament. They will not be abandoned after it. FIFA has found the only host nation on Earth where the infrastructure risk is zero. What FIFA has engineered for 2026 is a demonstration that the sport of football can be industrialized, packaged, and monetized at American scale. The question is, who does all of this actually serve? The fans? The players? Or does it serve the boardrooms, the broadcast executives, and the governing body in Zurich that sits on top of it all? I don't have a clean answer for you. What I have is a lot more evidence. Evidence that what we've covered today is just the surface layer of something far more complex, far more deliberate, and far more consequential. Because there are stadiums in this tournament with stories that haven't been told yet. Deals made in private that haven't been made public. And a financial architecture beneath this World Cup that leads somewhere very few people want you to go. That is Chapter 2, and it is coming. If you believe that football fans deserve the full picture, hit subscribe. Right now, because the Beyond the Pitch investigation into the dark architecture of the 2026 World Cup is just getting started. I'll see you there.